Hello everyone, I'm François Picard. It's what Germans call a grand coalition. The two big tent parties agreeing on a government 6 weeks after elections that put the CDU of Friedrich Merz tops and relegated the SPD of outgoing Chancellor Olaf Scholz to third place behind the far right. 6 weeks can seem long to form a government, but in Germany, that is speedy. And with all that the challenges that await both domestically and abroad, it helped move along those negotiations.
The coalition agreement now before us is the result of intensive consultations and negotiations. It is, above all, a very strong and very clear signal to the citizens of our country. And it is also a clear signal to our partners in the European Union. Germany will have a strong government capable of taking action. The political centre of our country is in a position to solve the problems we are facing. The future government, the future coalition will reform and invest in order to keep Germany stable, make it more secure, and make it economically stronger again. And Europe can also rely on Germany.
Our coverage begins in Berlin with correspondent Nick Holdsworth. Nick, what more do we know?
Stable, safer and economically stable. That's Friedrich Merz's central message as he announced the agreement for the coalition that will govern Germany for the next 4 years. 148-page agreement document with plenty of detail. He's doing what he's been saying all along. He's going to be tough on immigration, stopping asylum seekers at Germany's borders, denying them entry, repatriating people, widening the list of so-called safe countries so that people from those countries won't be able to apply for asylum, reducing the ability of people already here to have family reunification, and reducing another thing that the Germans introduced recently, which was a 3-year path to getting a German passport for people who had achieved a certain level of the German language and had integrated well. That will be scrapped. And these are all policies that are going to be taking some of the thunder out of the far right, the AfD, who have reacted fairly angrily to the coalition statements today. They're very critical of it. On wider economic themes, Merz says that he's going to reduce red tape. His message to Donald Trump, his Germany is back on track, and he will work with the other European Union member countries to see if they can reduce those tariffs which Donald Trump has introduced, causing havoc in markets across the world.
Yeah, the tariffs, the way that the U.S. Vice President met with the far-right leader instead of the outgoing chancellor at the Munich Security Conference, all these elements that help concentrate the minds. How much of a change are we going to see from this German government?
In some ways, it's going to be business as usual. With this coalition, we've got a couple of key cabinet posts which are likely to go to Social Democrat Party leaders. The defence minister, very popular, Boris Pistorius, likely to stay in defence, and finance likely to go to the Social Democrats. Foreign policy, the Chancellor and other key ministries obviously will be with the CDU. So there will be continuity in some senses. What's new will be this drive to reduce red tape. Friedrich Merz is a businessman. He forged a successful career as an international investment manager after he stepped away from politics when Angela Merkel became the Chancellor candidate some years ago. And he wants to see reduced red tape, lower costs, easier agreements and permissions for businesses, wants to reduce the cost of energy by reducing taxes on gas for Germans, for German companies too. And basically he wants to reinvigorate the economy, use digital means more effectively, like other countries across the EU want to use AI more effectively, and basically put this country back on the road to the sort of success it's enjoyed in the past, so that in 4 years' time, when there's a new round of elections, they will be able to see off the threat of the far right, the AfD, who today, a poll suggests if there were an election tomorrow would get 25% of the vote in this country. That's 1% more than the CDU could expect.
Nick, stay with us because we're going to stay in Berlin with Markus Ziener, visiting senior fellow at the German Marshall Fund. Thank you for speaking with us here on France 24.
Thanks for having me.
6 weeks to form a coalition government. Is that because there were only two parties negotiating, or is it because of all that's going on, both domestically and in the outside world?
Yeah, both is true. I mean, it's only two parties instead of three, as we had in the previous government, which was quite difficult to basically get them all on the same page. But I think what's more important is the fact that there are so many foreign policy issues pressing right now that I think there is this need for getting things done quickly, I think, and getting this government together quickly. I think that was obvious.
And you heard Nick Holdsworth say the emphasis put by Friedrich Merz on cutting red tape. Is that the carrot to his own base? After all, he's having to sell them what he did not campaign on, which is increased spending, particularly on defense.
Yeah, well, I think Friedrich Merz, the designated new chancellor, he fully understands that what he needs most is actually to somewhere get the money from to finance all what he wants and has to do. And for this respect, actually, you need an economy that's thriving, that's working, that's producing tax revenues. And this is why he was focusing so much on competitiveness of the German economy. And it was already mentioned that the energy price, the price for electricity should be lowered by 5 cents, which is quite a bit. So that's basically done through cutting back on the electricity tax. Then competitiveness is supposed to be strengthened in a number of ways. Red tape, yeah, sure, that's what every government actually is promising, that to cut back on red tape. At this time, I think they're very serious about it. And yeah, and then I think given the fact that we are basically in a trade war with the United States and that Germany is selling so much to the US, we're going to see tough times. So it's very important to get the economy back on track.
Important to get the economy back on track. Let me ask you, it's called a grand coalition when you have the Christian Democrats and the Social Democrats. Markus, when the Social Democrats polled third, their numbers in the teens, and yet they still get the finance and the defense portfolio. What does that tell you?
Well, first of all, I mean, it's really not a grand coalition anymore, given the numbers. I mean, the CDU had 28%, 29%, and the SPD 16%. So that's not really two big parties now forming a coalition. This is different. I think two things here. The one is that the most popular minister in Germany is the defense minister. It's Boris Pistorius, and he's with the Social Democrats. Though it would have been very unwise by Friedrich Merz to not leave the Ministry of Defense to the Social Democrats, number one. Number two, there was basically no alternative for the CDU to form a government. I mean, the Green Party did not get enough votes to be a coalition partner for a two-way coalition. And then there's the AfD and the Left Party, and they're both out of question to forming a coalition with, though there was only the SPD. And for that reason, I think, well, for the Social Democrats, it was a very convenient and very beneficial bargaining situation. So they could ask for much, and obviously they got a lot.
Now, Boris Pistorius, the defense minister, the outgoing one, polls suggest the most popular member of that outgoing government, most popular politician inside the SPD. How long will the honeymoon last between him and Friedrich Merz?
As long as he's not going to challenge Friedrich Merz. I mean, I think he has Boris Pistorius, I think he has his hands full to reorganize the German Bundeswehr. We all know that the German army, the German defense is in bad shape, even though that already 3 years ago there was this extra fund of 100 billion. But procurement is sluggish. It takes a long time to get new installments of products and of weaponry. Then also Germany has given a lot to Ukraine, so there's a lack of all those defense equipment that's needed, and this takes time. And I think to change the Minister of Defense at this point would be very, very unwise, because it takes a lot of time to really get into this whole into the nitty-gritty of this very complicated ministry.
One last question. I'll put it to Nick Holdsworth, our correspondent. Nick, there's a meeting of EU defense ministers on Thursday in Brussels, a meeting of EU finance ministers to talk defense in Warsaw on Saturday. What's the mood in Germany when it comes to, again, this sea change, when it comes to spending on defense and weaning itself off the U.S. defense umbrella?
I think Germans, along with most Europeans, understand that we're now living in a totally new world and that we can't rely upon Donald Trump's America anymore, not for defence nor for global economic rules. Everything's been tossed up in the air. And Friedrich Merz is, if nothing else, a realist, and he clearly wants to work with his European partners. He wants to forge stronger relations with France and Poland. He wants to bring the UK more and more back into the fold, and the British government has even today suggested that they are looking for closer economic links with the European Union. That's a little bit short of rejoining the EU, but they certainly want to come closer, because everyone understands that if Europe doesn't pull together, it's nowhere. There are threats all over the place, economically, threats militarily from Russia, and Merz is very keen to concentrate on making Germany again part of the heart of the EU. So we always had France and Germany at the heart of the EU, and he would, as I've just mentioned, like to have the UK a lot closer to the EU, because that is what is required now in a world that has suddenly became a lot more unstable and in some ways more dangerous than it was just a few months ago.
Nick Holdsworth, I want to thank you alongside Markus Ziener for being with us from the German capital.